Got it.
Hi, everyone, and a very welcome to the newest episode of the Releasing the Real You show, where we talk about all kinds of stuff regarding health, well-being, weight loss, and anything that somehow touches it. And we're back after our summer break. So it's quite exciting. Yes, we had a short break. And with me today, I have Alex Vitillo, who is a money breakthrough coach.
Mm.
So we're going to talk all about money, which is quite an interesting topic, but more importantly as well, how it somehow relates to health and well-being, why it can affect it, and what we can do about it. So warm welcome, Alex. I'm really excited to have you here.
You. Thank you. Very excited to be with you here, Anne, and your audience.
Fantastic. So tell me a little bit about what you do, and more importantly, I think it's always quite interesting is how do you get started? What led you to do what you do today?
Thank you. Thank you. Two very interesting questions. And I like to say that some people may think, why is there a money person on a well-being channel? And I want to say the two things are very, very, very related. So we have a saying in Italian, I don't know how you translate it exactly, but if money doesn't buy you happiness, but try being poor. And so, if you are in lack and scarcity and you want to express and be in well-being and eat well, and we're going to dive deep into all of these aspects, it's a little bit more challenging than if you are in a frequency of wealth and abundance. And I know women in general, I know because I've been asking entrepreneurs, visionaries, stay-at-home mom about money. And there seems to be like a clash. Women don't like to talk about money. And so today, hopefully, we're going to bring it down to reality, make it a lot more accessible and a lot more enjoyable. So, my background is very traditional. I mentioned I'm Italian. I grew up in a Catholic society, very traditional culture. I did grow up in Africa, which mixed up the whole thing a little bit.
Mhm.
But I went to school and it was primarily numbers based, and I did economics. And I came to London. I did a master in banking and finance, and I started working in the city, investment banking, and it was all about the numbers. And I thought, oh, I'm not good with numbers, and it wasn't really it wasn't really the place for me to flourish. But it was what it was expected. You go to a good school, you got a good degrees, you got a good job, and you got a good salary. And so, you in the city, again, there's this say, you work hard, you play hard. So you make money, you enjoy your money, but like I say, it was what was expected, and it was what I was brought up to do. I didn't question it that much. And I had on paper the perfect life. So a good employment, a beautiful husband, two nice children. And then one day everything just like for a lot of people crumbled up. My husband passed due to cancer, and all of a sudden I was single mom in London, no family around, two young kids. And that forced me to stop, recenter, refocus, and decide what am I going to do with my life. And for those of you that lost a partner, it's a very difficult place to be, because especially again as a woman and coming from a traditional culture, the man is everything. So yes, I had my job and I had my career and my finances, but my husband was doing everything and taking care of everything, and he was my go-to for everything. And all of a sudden, you remove that really big, substantial rock in your life, and you're thinking, oh, now what? And and this now what, and I'm sure it happened for many people in life, then you start to shift completely what you're doing. And I thought, okay, I cannot work in finance with two young kids at home. They lost
Mm.
their dad. I don't want them to grow up feeling I'm losing my mom. And then I started a different journey, a journey of well-being. This is why I'm saying it's so important to get it together. You cannot have well-being without wealth, but you cannot have wealth without well-being. And for me, it turned out to be a completely different journey of healing, mindfulness. I retrained as a mindfulness practitioner. From there, went into the healing arts, all sorts of energy work you can think of. I did it. I also decided to go into coaching and more of the business coaching per se. So that I decided then to combine the two together. So how do we do the practical of doing a business so that you have time freedom to look after your kids or to, do whatever you want to do, and to have the practical and the more, let's call it spiritual, where you don't feel burnout, you don't feel overwhelmed, you can have support from the universe. So now I combine the two to bring well-being and wealth to clients.
Okay, that's a very, very strong and powerful story to have there as background. So thank you first of all for sharing. Very personal topic there, and it's quite an interesting and an amazing journey that you went through for sure. And so if we focus on the money aspect as such, why do you feel it's an issue, and especially for women, I think more than for men? How does it affect us? What's going on there, you think?
Well, again, I think part of it's probably, and I'm talking about our culture, our Western culture, where the man was used to provide and the man was used to go and hunt, and the women would be taking care of the children. So there is this really anchored, we heard about the patriarchy and we heard about, this male dominated space. It is in our culture, in our DNA, in our background. And so there is almost like a stigma towards what was the patriarchy, what was about earning money, about working hard and being the provider. As women, we feel like, oh no, that wasn't good enough. That was really total manipulation. Sometimes it was taking, people were taken advantage of, and I call financial abuse. There are still, and I just want to put it here because it's something that it's really I'm very passionate about. There are still many people that are in relationship, and unfortunately, research shows it's mainly women that are in relationship because the men hold the finances, and that's not good enough. Again, and there was an article, I think it was a year ago, about people who lost their husband, like me, or they got a divorce and had no idea what was in the bank account, how if there were debts, or how to manage insurance, so all of a sudden you left, especially women, in this situation where, oh my God, and that happened to me at the beginning as well. I had to catch up on everything, the insurance and the holiday plans and the school pay. It was just overwhelming. Well, if you open your eyes a little bit earlier, start to have this conversation, which again, women don't have those conversations in your household, in your family, in your community, in your business, to talk about money and be comfortable with money. It's going to create some challenges down the road. And I think where women have a really misalignment, I want to say, is I've been asking a lot to men and to women. I've been doing my little research. What is one thing they would like more of in their business? And for men, it's very easy to say money, because then with money, I can employ more people. I can play golf a lot more. I can travel a lot more. I can put my children to, the fancy school. Good, right? And when you ask women, and asked a lot of women in business, so, we're not talking about women staying at home, or what would you like more of? Self-care, me time, balance. But if that's your focus and you don't see that you can have all of that just by working on the money, which is the one thing, right? So the more wealth you bring in, the more self-care time you have, the more you can invest in your personal trainer, the more you can say, I'm going to have a 3-day week instead of 7-day week. Because when you're an entrepreneur, it's very easy to slip into the path,
Yeah.
right? So again, it's that conditioning that if we say money, we think we're not fulfilling ourselves, or we're not showing up as, the nourishing, the beautiful, divine energy that we are. So it's something I want to really bring attention to people
Mm-hmm.
listening here. Yeah.
And how does it affect us on, on a day-to-day basis when we struggle, when we have those issues that we don't know how to deal with?
Well, first of all, I think a lot of people don't sleep over it, because especially if you're employed, chances are, I call it the golden handcuff. You might feel it happened to me at some point. I had really stomach ache because I wasn't feel I was at the right place. You bound by time, so maybe again you want to be home to pick up your child from school, but your boss is not really seeing it something that is acceptable. So if you're employed, you're accumulating a lot of stress. And if you are self-employed, then you're probably not sleeping at night because you still think, okay, I created a business, but this business needs to be bringing income. Otherwise, I say it's just a very expensive hobby. And again, if you have a spouse that supports you and you're aware of that, that's your choice. But most people like to produce something of their own. So whether you have a spouse that look after the bills or not, the moment you set up your own business, you want it to be profitable. And so if you're not profitable or you're working like a dog, so then all of a sudden, again, you don't have time for your kids. But the whole purpose of creating your own business was to have time for yourself,
Yeah.
to have self-care. So it becomes, again, this vicious circle, which, it's not healthy. It's create frustration, a lot of frustration, because women don't like to talk about money, but when they don't have it, I think they feel the frustration.
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it's going to impact your day to day. And ultimately, I say, it's going to impact your health.
Mm-hmm.
This is why we say well being, it always comes down to your health. And unless you've got your health, you've got nothing.
Yep. Your health is your wealth. That's
Your health
very
is
clear.
your
Yeah.
wealth. This
Mm-hmm.
is where it starts,
Yeah.
but it's influenced both ways.
Both ways. You have to have wealth to have health as well at the same time. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And how, obviously, you mentioned that lots of those perceptions we have are coming from the way we've been brought up, our history, our history from a long time ago, and just perpetuating over time. How do you see we can get over those issues, over those blocks that we currently have with money?
So I think it's good to, like everything in life, when it's your health, physical, emotional, it's about stopping and look what's about,
Yeah.
what is happening to me. And, it's true. I was brought up with this money doesn't grow on a tree. I used to like to put little coins in my garden, and my dad was laughing at me saying, "What are you doing?" Well, I'm planting a money tree. And that laugh about that stays with you. So unless when I was not doing this work, I had no idea. But the moment you stop and you start reflecting, okay, what does my culture say? My culture maybe says women don't have to work.
Mm-hmm.
My culture says maybe you cannot be as successful as a man.
Yeah.
My culture says in order to be successful, I have to work like a dog. So where do you have this in your DNA? Where does it stems from? And you can find that relatively easy. Just pay attention to the programs you watch, the people you hear, the words that jump out. Just say, hey, what's my money story here? And
Mm-hmm.
you're going to notice. And of course, once you've got awareness, then it's a lot easier to say, well, I was told money doesn't grow on a tree, but I like this image for myself. So I'm going to plant a tree of money. What is my tree of money looking like? A beautiful offer for clients. this is how it looks like. That's going to bring me, satisfaction. This is going to bloom in a beautiful community, more trees, more. So be creative and have fun. Just start to overcome these blocks, limitations, cultural beliefs. It starts from awareness and the willingness to be doing something about it, for sure.
The awareness is such a big topic. I mean, I do it with my clients as well. I mostly deal with weight loss, but it's really about being aware of what you do, being aware of why you behave, being aware without, any just being aware without any preconception about is it good, is it bad, or anything. But that awareness really helps you then think, well, actually, why am I doing it? Why is it happening to me? And then you can start, as you say, making changes. Most people just run. I suppose, I know even in business, you have an idea, you just go and run with it, but you don't understand what's behind it. And the same with weight loss. You go on a diet without even thinking, well, actually, how can I sustain it? How can I make it a success? Because if it's this diet or that diet, it doesn't really matter. It's about understanding how it's going to fit within your life and how you can make those changes that needs to happen. So I can see it's exactly what you say. It's very, very, very similar.
Yes, and I want to say to all of you that are listening, and maybe you haven't started this process of awareness, and you might feel, oh, it's a bit too much. And
Yeah.
there is a scientific law that supports you, which says the moment you observe something, that something starts to change. So without you even having to, conjure up, okay, what am I have to do with this diet? Like you said, what am I have to sustain it? And the moment you're aware of what you put in your mouth consciously, you're going to change that. So, how beautiful is that, right? So, imagine if the magic starts to happen the moment you're observing and you start to be aware of it. If you put a little bit of your own on top of that, how are you going to support yourself a thousandfold? So, again, it's all about bringing that magic, I call, with ease and grace. We're not here to slave. We're not here to sacrifice. We're not here to deprive us from, that feeling, that pleasure of good food, of wealth, or whatever you want to have. You want to do a little bit and use the universe and the law of physics on your side.
Mm-hmm. So you say first is awareness, then make a plan, and then obviously go and deliver on the plan.
Yeah, and also no, you can always tweak and you can also twist and tweak things. So I'm aware of it. I'm gonna make a plan. I'm gonna observe again. So again, we
Yeah.
come back to observe and tweak, observe, tweak, and at some point it becomes exponential. So at the
Mm.
beginning, you need to oil the machine and you need to warm up the machine. But once you get on the right direction with the right people, you're never alone on this journey. This is another thing if you choose to. If you choose to do it alone without a personal trainer, a weight loss coach, a mentor, I say forget it. We'll see in the
Mm.
next life. We'll talk then. But if you're really serious and committed, find a good person that's in your corner, that supports you, that gives you guidance, that's there with you. It's a lot more fun. It's a lot more effective. It's a lot faster. And this is where it comes to money. it also money effective rather than you being in that conditions for years and years, which is costing you money.
Mm.
Think, okay, I'm going to dedicate this portion of money now, but I'm going to, collapse all of this timeline so that I've got the results that I'm desiring for. And again,
Yeah.
if health is your wealth, you don't want to compromise on health.
So when it comes to health, how do you feel? So obviously you mentioned sleep, which is one of the issues that are very, very much affected by money stress. The stress, let's just mentioned it. What other health aspects will someone benefit from when they work on their money blocks?
So there's almost a mystical conjunction between your money blocks and your physical body. So it's like having a container. That container is your nervous system, and your nervous system holds the energy of money. And this is where a lot of people get lost, but it is the way it works. So you need to have that strong nervous system to have a container that holds money. And the other way is also true. So when you've got, this, let's say, appreciation of money, when you've got that commitment to money, when you got that, I want to say, non-judgment space of money's evil, or, all of this, again, conditioning that we have, then the energy of the money. And so it's sitting in your container, that is your nervous system. So the purer the energy and the light of the money, the purest your nervous system can flow. So it might seem a little bit out there. Just, think that are very related and start to notice maybe even, physical sensation in your body when you make a sale, when a clients have a success story to share. It's all part of those riches that is going to enhance your body. And if we bring it to another very practical element, good food, good water, it's becoming more and more rare. So the more wealth you have dedicated to buying your own land, maybe planting your own vegetables, maybe having your own chickens, maybe having a cook cooking for you as opposed to you running 24/7.
Yep.
So that gives you again the freedom of choice. And there is no maybe it's working, no, maybe it's not working. Would you rather buy, I know, for instance, my family produce oil. The cost of producing olive oil that is virgin, that is non-treated, is really high. So when you go to a supermarket and you see £6 a bottle, which is so cheap, let me tell you, compared to what you're thinking, that's not olive oil. What is in that olive oil? But you using that every day, because maybe you think, well, I cannot call my supplier in Italy and spend 30 euros now with Brexit for, 1 little bottle of oil. I'm going to go with the £6 in the supermarket. It's going to impact you. It's going to impact you. Same for water. Plastic water, I heard, I don't know how many grams of plastic humans have in their body because we're drinking from plastic bottle. And yet we think that Evian, sorry, maybe I'm not supposed, but in a plastic bottle is a lot better than the tap water. Not sure, but I know that at least between Evian in plastic and Evian in bottle, which costs double, I know that's a better bet. So again, can I afford the two bottle, the glass bottle? So it's very simple.
That's very interesting, definitely. Yeah. So when I always ask everyone about their top 3 tips on how someone can get started straight away. So awareness, obviously, is the first one.
Yes, really practically, know your numbers. Know your numbers. What am I spending? What are all my little subscription, the £1 here, the £1 there. And again, not to come at it from, shouldn't be spent. It's just, okay, I'm aware. What am I spending? What is my husband spending? What are my children spending? What's coming in? And sometimes we have things coming in, we don't even realize they're coming in. I know, because again, a lot of clients, they have multiple income stream and they forget. And then again, they don't sleep. And it's like, hold on. Did you forget about it? Oh, yes, I did. Right? So it's know what's coming in, know what's coming out. There is a tip number 2. I know there is, there's a tool that is this one that I use very much called Sacred Money Archetypes. So it's for those of you that like to know about archetypes, I don't know, like your horoscope, those personality characteristics, your sacred money archetypes. It's really another layer of, okay, when it comes to the energy of money, when it comes to my belief about money, when it comes about strengths, my gift about money, what am I really, really, really good at? Oh, and what are my challenges, right? Again, so it's a personality test that tells you these are your top 3. This is the area to pay attention to. These are the area I really want to, go out and shout to the world. And that's going to give you, again, more awareness. And tip number 3 is to start to think about investment, because there is this whole culture of, oh, I can't afford it. Oh, this is too expensive, you know. And I had this conversation a while back. I'm a strong frequency supporter. This is some of the tools, and they're very expensive. Now they work again with your health and wealth and well-being. So how much value are you placing on yourself? How much value do you want to go to the doctor every week because you've got a condition? Or would you spend 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, whatever it is? They're much cheaper, by the way. But you know, it's which value do you place on yourself? Is it a cost or is it an investment? And once you start to analyze your income, your outcome, as is it a cost or is it an investment? Like I was saying before, you want to lose weight. Do you want to do it on your own? And maybe, I'm sure people, you know, New Year resolution, want to lose weight.
Struggle for a while, yeah.
Then next year they don't do nothing. They're there just a little bit bigger. Maybe they have heart conditions now. Maybe they've got something. Or would you say, oh, I met this coach. Oh, it's a little bit out of my comfort zone, you know, but I'm going to work with them for 9 months because that's an investment.
Yeah.
And so this is really, I think, a very powerful shift that you can do now. Start to, you know, next time somebody's asking you, do you want to invest in my services? Do you want a personal trainer? Do you want to buy organic? And say, am I investing? Yes, you do it. If you're not investing, obviously don't do it. But it's a different approach to life.
So obviously, Trinidad, there's a whole cost of living crisis at the moment, which has impacted a lot of people when it comes to the available pot of money that they have to invest in themselves. If someone is really struggling, how do you even get started with very little to start with? Because lots of people who have very little have actually lots of issues when it comes to money and you know, the whole feeling that they can do something for themselves.
So again, I would take that moment of awareness and reflection and to do your numbers. Is it really true? Because sometimes I know I had a client who was very wealthy, but she came from family that were all about savings and all about, you know, don't do this, don't do that, let's not go on holiday, this is too flashy. And she thought as a little girl that they were poor. These people were millionaire living in South Africa. So is it really true that at this moment, you know, something has changed? And if it is that really something has gone shrinking, is it temporary?
Yeah.
Or do you need to tweak something in your day-to-day life? So maybe for this next 3 months, don't go and buy coffee at Starbucks if you're still doing that, right? Or maybe, I don't know, rather than eat out 3 times a week, do it once. Or if you're cooking and most of the cooking goes in the bin because you haven't mixed the right dosage, or you know, you're just doing something else, then you know, start again just to bring that awareness. And if not, maybe you need to change job. Maybe you need to do something different. Maybe you need to quit your job and start working for yourself. But I think the one thing that everybody can do is to start to feel there is a solution that I can come up with. There is, you're never in this crazy boat oceans where you have absolutely no control. You chose that boat. You chose that boat. So once you're in that boat, you could either jump to a different boat or start to steer it a different way. And yes, there are circumstances that are a bit more favorable, but it's always a loop. So just see it as, okay, now maybe I'm in the downturn. How do I change that? But don't wait for something to change for you. Don't wait.
Yeah, no, that's 100%, you know. And even then what I find is lots of people wait, and then when something changes, they still don't take action. That I have seen with my clients as well, who, they might have been told by the doctors that they need to change, and even then that's not enough to make them change. So it's really
I
about
think,
taking.
yeah, this is an excellent point, and it's something that, again, I think if anybody wants to really forget everything we said, but just remember, this one thing: don't wait to hit rock bottom before you change something. So we all heard of people that had a heart disease and then they decided to quit smoking. We all heard of people that, were broke and then they started their own business. It's like, don't wait. Don't wait for that moment. Just think small steps. What can I do today to improve my health a little bit, my wealth a little bit, my well-being a little bit, even if it's a minute today of meditation or whatever that is. Don't wait for that crisis, because if you wait, there's going to be a crisis. There will be a crisis. It's just what happens on this planet. Crisis come and crisis go. So just be, preventive.
Yeah.
Prevention is, what's the saying? Prevention is
better than cure, or something along those lines.
Something like that. Yes.
Definitely.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Well, it's a fascinating topic for sure, and I'm sure you have way more to say.
Always.
So if and I will put all your details in the description of the show anyway. But if someone wants to get hold of you, what's the best way? Is it your website? Is it Instagram? Is it LinkedIn? Where's the easiest and the best way to get hold of you?
The easiest and best way is to send me an email and to say, Alex, loved your talk, didn't love your talk, but I feel we need to talk. Or if you have a question, all I say, sometimes it is an uncomfortable conversation, especially for the British. I realize that. Sorry, Italian, we talk about money right, left, and center. But just start that uncomfortable conversation, because once you, again, like in health and wealth, once you jump out of your comfort zone, this is where the magic happens. So one small and comfortable conversation can change your whole world.
That's fantastic, and I do agree. I'm although not British, but I find it very uncomfortable to talk about money. So I totally know what you're saying.
We're a good match.
There we go.
We're a good match.
It's interesting to hear that in Italy everyone talks about money. So
yeah.
Fantastic. So thank you very much. It was a fascinating talk, and I hope you listeners enjoyed it as well. And as we said, if you are ready to make some changes and would like to have a chat with Alex, get in touch, send her an email, and be in touch. And in the meantime, I will see you all next month for the next episode of the Releasing the Real You show. So bye-bye for now, and see you very soon.